Hello, today is February 19th, 2025, and as of today, I'm halfway through my radiation and chemo treatments. Today is a great day to celebrate that, and I'm just very happy that we're halfway to the finish line. I wanted to talk first off just a little bit about some of the medications that I've been taking specifically for chemo. There's four pre-chemo medications that I take. First one is diphenhydramine, basically a fancy name for Benadryl, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right. It's for any possible allergic reactions to the chemo drugs. The second one is called dexamethasone, and that's a steroid that reduces inflammation, suppresses the immune system, and it just helps to manage any side effects of chemotherapy. I do notice that I feel really good 24 hours after chemo because of the steroids, but then start to come down again. So after my chemo treatment and the next day, which is today, I feel pretty good. Just physically, but once those steroids wear off, things in general just start piling up toward the weekend. Third drug, that the pre-chemo drug they give me, is called famotidine, basically just an anti-nausea medication. And then the fourth one is also anti-nausea, which is palonostrotrin hydrochloride. Those are all the pre-chemo drugs that they give you. And then the two chemo drugs that I'm taking is paclitaxel and carboplatin. So far things are going as planned, and at home we have what we call the cancer corners in our kitchen, full of a lot of supplements, vitamins, some of the prescriptions that I've been given. Then I have an area with all the holistic approaches with my nutrition, the juicing and the teas. The magic mouthwash that I was prescribed, it has no magic. I don't really like it. The issue with it is that you have to obviously put it in your mouth and swish it around and then swallow it. However, the lidocaine and the numbing agents that's in the mouthwash only really affect my mouth, and I don't really have any pain in my mouth. I have all the pain is in my throat because of all the sores and the blisters that are starting to form due to the radiation. So just how am I doing week 3 physically? My voice is getting weaker. It does sound different to me. I was in bed most of the weekend due to the accumulative effect of the 5 radiations and the chemo. All the side effects seem to hit me on Saturday and Sunday. I probably had my worst weekend. This last weekend I spent way too much time in bed. I was maybe getting down 8 to 12 ounces of water in a day. Wasn't really eating anything. Was very, very nauseous, and I lost close to 8 to 10 pounds just in those 2 days, which is always very concerning to me, also to the doctors, because they don't want you to lose more than 10% of your original body weight that you were at before treatment started. To me, my priority is just making sure I drink water and I can get calories in as much as I can. 12 to 1500 calories every day is a goal I have for myself. I'm starting to get a bit of a cough. I just try to subdue it or muffle it somehow because it's super painful to cough. The other night I just started having some acid reflux. That was kind of during the weekend and into like maybe Monday, and I think that was mainly due to just not eating anything and not getting any liquids or water in my system, and so probably just a lot of acid just sitting in my stomach and didn't know what to do and where to go, and so I haven't had any issues with that the last few days. I do have this constant pain on the kind of the left back side along my tongue. It's really obvious when I chew on this side and when I try to spit, which leads me to I have very thick saliva. I have this spit cup next to my bed, and it really was mainly over this past weekend. It's gotten better through the week. Again, I think it's just the accumulation effect of all the treatments during the week, and it just kind of hits you all at once, and then it starts to clear up after you have those couple days rest. Most of the time I do have an appetite, because swallowing is just so painful. It's just it kind of deters me from eating. Got to figure out how to get past that, because I just really need to make sure I'm getting enough calories and keeping up my nutrition, because that's just going to help speed up the recovery process if I can get those calories in every day. Because a big priority of mine is just to not get a feeding tube. Obviously I'll get it if it comes to that point, but mentally I have my mind set on not having a feeding tube, but I have to get the nutrition in. But if I can't get it in physically, a feeding tube is probably the only option. However, I do want to avoid that at all costs, because that's just another surgery, just another thing that my body has to recover from, and which is going to take away from it recovering from everything else that's needing all my resources. So I'm really praying and hoping to avoid getting a feeding tube. My taste is even getting worse. I really didn't understand what that looked like until now. Even water, sipping on water just has a nasty taste. I can get over that. It's more of just getting the food down because of the pain that's proven to be the most difficult. Even adding salt or pepper, any kind of spices, it just irritates my throat. At this point, I have probably open sores or, starting to form inside my throat. So anything that has any kind of spice just sits on those sores and just really affects it. So just got to go for, bland as possible. I just got to get food in me. Doesn't matter what I taste like, because it doesn't taste good, and it doesn't matter at this point. I have found that I'm getting sensitivity in certain areas of my gums when brushing my teeth. Something new that's starting to happening, and I don't know if you can tell in this video, but the left side of my beard is starting to fall out. I was in chemo yesterday, and I was laying there for a few hours during treatment. I looked down at my shirt and I had all this beard hair. So I was like, what the heck? And brushed it off. It happened several times where I had to just brush off this hair, and by the end of the treatment there was hair everywhere. It's very brittle and it just kind of breaks off. Haven't lost really any hair on my head. I feel like I'm getting grayer. I don't know, my wife noticed that. I did have a kind of a reaction to the needle, when they put in my IV the last couple times. They call it the vasovagal reaction. My heart rate dropped, my blood pressure dropped, just briefly got dizzy and kind of really hot and nauseous. That was kind of new. The nurse was telling me that your body just kind of catches on, and your nerves just kind of like, and your veins are like, okay, we know what's coming, and they kind of go into this panic mode. And when I laid down and just focused on breathing and not focused on what was going on, they were able to get a needle in after the fifth attempt. There's a lot of good things as well that I'm really trying to prioritize and focus on, because the mental side of this thing is just as challenging, if not more challenging than the physical. I can still swallow. Maybe hard, maybe painful, but I can still swallow. And to me, that's a huge win. And I discovered that if I add a little packet of electrolytes, it just makes it so much easier to drink water. And I'm getting in some electrolytes, and I'm getting in tiny bit of calories, not a ton, maybe 10, but that all helps. So I'm grateful for little discoveries like that. Overall, I haven't been super exhausted. Definitely am a little bit more fatigued. I think that's just due to lack of nutrition, which is, making me feel a little bit weaker. But I'm not to the point to where I just want to veg out and lay in bed all day. Other than this, again, this past weekend, I need to figure out how to, to avoid that or minimize that, because that wasn't a very fun weekend. Just to, feel so bad that I was just in bed, pretty much all day Saturday and Sunday. But then come Monday, you kind of go back up, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then just, that's kind of been the cycle. No major hair loss other than the hairs that are falling out in the beard, which is no big deal. I'll probably just end up shaving once it gets too unsightly. So I'm grateful for that. I've had no neuropathy in my hands or my feet, and so that's awesome. Again, I am doing the cold therapy, wearing the ice pack gloves on my hands and on my feet, so I'll just continue to do that as well. I feel like focusing on small milestones is something that's been super helpful. Like hitting the halfway mark. That to me, that's not small, that's big. But even daily ones, like drinking 3 of these every day, like that's a milestone. Getting enough calories in, that's a milestone. Getting a good night's rest. All those are just little goals that I have for myself, just to keep me focused on the positive things and to, celebrate them as well. It's easy to fall into, kind of a negative headspace, and that's just not a good place to be. It's been super helpful just to make these videos, and a lot of things I kind of keep in my head. Not because I don't feel like I can talk to my wife or people that I love, but I don't know, I just feel like it gets annoying. If I was to share everything that was going on in my mind, they would be like, whoa. So, I focus more on those conversations of just, I'm doing good, which I am. This format gives me an opportunity just to give more details, and I'll be a little bit more raw, which leads me to another thing I'm grateful for is I found a Facebook support group, and that's been awesome. Just to hear other people's stories, as they're navigating pre-chemo radiation, during, and post, to hear how they're handling it and things that they're doing and things that they're trying and the questions that they have. We aren't alone in this, and how we do need each other to get that support and to get that strength and comfort to get through this. I mean, it is just mandatory. I never thought that I would need to join a cancer support group, but I'm glad that I did, and I'm just grateful for the people that really can be authentic and empathetic in what we're all going through. And I highly recommend anyone, to find a group online or somewhere where you can meet in person, whatever works for you. So that's been a really good thing. This journey has just really made me appreciate just so many of the small things that I took for granted, like swallowing and tasting and talking and normal bowel movements, without constipation and sleeping at night. You really start to get in tune with things that we just take for granted every day and we don't appreciate or acknowledge, because our body and our mind just does it for us. So that's been a good lesson to learn. And there's been so many other personal ones as well that I'll probably share in a later video. Well, that's my update for today, week 3. Again, halfway through these treatments. The doctors do keep reminding me that it's going to get worse before it gets better. But with all the continued support and love that I've been getting from my family and friends, I know I'm going to get to the other side. Sometimes it seems like that side is really far away, but I know I'm going to get there. For anyone who's watching this that's going through something similar, you're going to get there as well. I know that God is very aware of me, and there's a lot that he has to teach me about myself and about life. And I just hope that through this refining process that I don't miss out on any of those lessons. And it really is only through hard things in life that we grow. We can realize the purposes that God put us here on this earth. And so I don't want to go through this journey and have not learned all those lessons that are just going to make me so much better in his hands. There is great strength in numbers, and together we will all beat this. Take care, and we'll see you next time.